Welcome to Talk Tickers. Today we're jumping into the latest from Rigetti Computing. Their earnings call just dropped, and we're here to break down the numbers and the strategy behind them.
Absolutely. Lots to unpack in the quantum space. So let's start with the top line. First quarter 2025 revenue came in at $1.5 million.
Okay, and how does that compare?
Well, it's down from $3.1 million in the same quarter last year. So a noticeable dip there.
Right, and margins.
Gross margins also took a hit, down to 30% from 49% a year ago.
Oof. So costs are up relative to sales. What about the operating loss?
That widened too. It's $21.6 million for the quarter compared to $16.6 million last year. Shows they're still investing heavily.
Okay, so revenue down, margins down, operating loss up. But I saw a headline about net income being positive, like really positive.
Yes, that's the slightly confusing part if you just look at the bottom line. Net income was $42.6 million.
Wow, compared to what?
Compared to a net loss of $20.8 million last year. Huge swing.
So what's driving that massive positive number if the core operations look tougher?
Yeah, that's the key thing. It's almost entirely due to non-cash changes. Specifically, how they value certain financial instruments, derivative warrants, and earn-out liabilities. It's accounting, not operational profit.
Got it. So important not to get carried away by that headline net income figure. What about their actual cash situation? How much runway do they have?
That's looking pretty solid, actually. As of April 30th, they had $237.7 million in cash equivalents, and available for sale investments.
And that includes the new investment.
Exactly. That number reflects the recent investment from Quantum Computer, which definitely helps their cash position.
Okay, so the operational metrics show the R&D investment phase, but the cash balance gives them room to maneuver.
Precisely. The story isn't really the quarterly revenue right now. It's about the technological milestones and the path to eventual commercialization.
Right. And speaking of tech milestones, let's dig into some of those. The DARPA Quantum Benchmarking Initiative sounds pretty major.
It is. Being selected for that is a big deal. They've advanced to stage A, focusing on their concept for a utility-scale quantum computer.
Utility scale meaning capable of solving real problems.
That's the goal, yeah. Their concept combines their multi-chip architecture, something they're really pushing, with scalable quantum error correction, QEC. They're working with Riverlane on the QEC side.
Okay, multi-chip plus error correction. What are the specific goals DARPA set?
They're ambitious. Things like needing more than 10,000 qubits.
10,000.
Yep. And really high fidelity, better than 99.9% median for 2-qubit gates. Plus, super fast gate speeds, like faster than 10 nanoseconds, and real-time error correction.
That sounds incredibly challenging. What's the funding for this phase?
Phase A is a $1 million award, but honestly, the money isn't the main point here. It's strategic. It's validation from DARPA.
Right, a stamp of approval on their approach. And you mentioned multi-chip, which ties into their chiplet technology focus.
Exactly. They seem very confident that this chiplet approach is the way to scale qubit counts effectively, especially in superconducting systems.
What are their near-term goals with chiplets?
They're aiming for a system with 4 9-qubit chiplets around mid-year 2025.
Okay, so a 36-qubit system built from smaller pieces?
Correct. And then pushing towards over 100 qubits by the end of the year, targeting fidelity around 99.75%. They believe demonstrating this is critical for the whole industry.
Interesting. Beyond DARPA, there's also an Air Force award, something about ABA.
Yeah, ABA, alternating bias-assisted annealing. It's a $5.48 million award from the Air Force Office of Scientific Research.
What does ABA actually do?
It's about improving the fabrication process. It gives them much finer control over the frequency of individual qubits during manufacturing. Think of it like tuning instruments very precisely.
So better quality control at the microscopic level.
Essentially, yes. It helps reduce the variability between qubits, makes them more uniform. They mentioned it could cut down the spread in frequencies by almost 10 times. That's a big improvement for yield and performance.
And they're collaborating with universities and Lawrence Livermore Lab on that.
That's right. It's a joint research effort.
Okay, shifting focus across the Atlantic. The UK seems to be a hub of activity for them, too. 3 Innovate UK awards.
Yes, all centered around advancing superconducting quantum computing, and again, collaborated with Riverlane and the UK's National Quantum Computing Centre, the NQCC.
What are these UK projects aiming for?
A few things. Advancing QEC capabilities is one. Another involves some ambitious tests to demonstrate real-time error correction.
Real-time QEC is kind of the holy grail, isn't it?
It really is. And the third project involves upgrading the quantum computer that's already deployed at the NQCC.
Oh, right. They have a system there already. What's the upgrade plan?
The current system uses a chip that could support 84 qubits, but it's only wired up for 24 right now. They plan to upgrade it to 36 qubits. But interestingly, they want to use their newer chiplet-based technology for this upgrade.
So not just adding wires to the existing chip.
Apparently not. They want to put in a chiplet-based 36-qubit system, aiming for higher fidelity, maybe 99.5% to 99.7%. But they want to prove it works in their California labs first, likely in the second half of 2025.
Makes sense. Are these NQCC deals profitable?
Margins are likely lower because it's a cost-sharing model, but it's strategically very important. It plants their flag firmly in the UK quantum scene.
And there are even more collaborations mentioned, right? With CQC and this open architecture testbed.
Yeah, the ecosystem is really important. They're working with CQC to integrate some digital chip tech with Rigetti's 9-qubit system at the NQCC, again for QEC research.
And the testbed.
That involves track Curious Q control and Oxford Ionics. The idea is to create a sort of standardized platform and open architecture for quantum workflows that could help different parts of the quantum stack work together more easily.
Lots of partnerships. Let's switch gears slightly to a pure tech breakthrough controlling qubits with light. That Nature physics paper sounds fascinating.
It really is. This is about using light via optical fibers instead of traditional microwave coax cables to control the superconducting qubits.
Why is that better?
Scale. Coax cables take up space and bring heat into the super cold environment where these qubits operate.
Oh.
As you go to thousands, millions of qubits, that becomes a huge problem.
So optical fibers are smaller and don't conduct heat.
Exactly. Much smaller footprint, negligible thermal load. Being able to coherently control a qubit this way is a really promising step towards making very large-scale systems feasible.
They also talked about algorithms, right? Something called quantum preconditioning.
Yes, they demonstrated it on a power grid optimization problem using data from South Carolina. They ran it on their 84-qubit Anka-3 system.
So showing potential applications even on current hardware.
Right. It's crucial to develop the software and algorithms alongside the hardware itself.
Okay, let's circle back to the financials, specifically that quantum computer investment. We mentioned the cash boost, but there's more to it.
Oh, definitely. The $35 million stock purchase is just the start.
Yeah.
The bigger piece is Quanta's commitment to invest $250 million over 5 years.
$250 million? Into what exactly?
Into the non-QPU hardware. Things like the control systems, the dilution refrigerators, all the complex gear around the quantum chip itself.
So Quanta builds the support infrastructure. Rigetti focuses purely on the quantum processor.
That's the idea. Quanta has massive manufacturing expertise. Rigetti is essentially training them to be their contract manufacturer for these complex but not quantum-specific components.
That sounds like a really significant strategic move, letting them focus their R&D firepower.
Absolutely. It could be a game changer for their resource allocation. They expect Quanta to be heavily involved in supplying these parts by next year.
Okay. One potential drag they mentioned was the National Quantum Initiative, the NQI reauthorization. What's the issue there?
Well, it has bipartisan support, but the act hasn't actually passed yet. And the funding that would flow from it mainly to academic institutions and DOE labs, who are key Rigetti customers, is delayed.
So potential customers are holding back because the government funding isn't confirmed.
It seems like it's causing some hesitation, yeah. Sales right now are mostly these R&D type contracts, which can be lumpy anyway. But the lack of NQI funding certainty isn't helping convert interest into orders from those sectors.
And real commercial sales, where companies pay to solve problems, that's still a ways off.
They estimate 3 to 5 years, roughly. That's when they hope to reach quantum advantage, meaning their systems can actually outperform classical computers on useful tasks.
What kind of specs do they think are needed for that?
The ballpark figures are at least 1,000 qubits, fidelity around 99.8%, and that crucial real-time error correction.
So still significant hurdles to clear.
Definitely. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Okay, just a couple more technical points. Gate speeds, how fast are they now, and how do they improve?
Current superconducting systems, including Rigetti's Anka-3, are typically in the 50-100 nanosecond range for gate operations. Anka-3 is around 70 nanoseconds.
Which is fast compared to?
Much faster than, say, trapped ion or neutral atom approaches, which are often in the hundreds of microseconds range.
And how do they get faster?
They've already improved speeds by moving from fixed to tunable couplers between qubits. Future gains will likely come from the specific type of gate they use and optimizing the chip geometry and design how the qubits talk to each other.
Got it. And revenue recognition, how does that work for things like the NQCC deal or the AVOS SR contract?
For the NQCC, the revenue gets recognized over the one-year contract period. For the AVOSR award, they expect about $1 million in revenue over the next year, though it's part of a 3-year project total.
All right, I think that covers the key details from the call. Let's move to our favorite speculative segment. This is not financial advice.
Always the important disclaimer.
Based on all this, what's an outrageous but plausible trade idea you've cooked up?
Okay, here's one angle. Given that huge commitment from Quanta Computer, the $250 million for non-QPU hardware, you could think about a long position in Quanta. The idea isn't directly about Rigetti's success, but about Quanta positioning itself as a key picks and shovels provider for the whole quantum industry.
Interesting. Betting on the enabler, not the specific quantum player.
Exactly. If quantum computing takes off, Quanta could benefit significantly by supplying essential hardware, diversifying away from just traditional servers. It leverages their manufacturing strength in a potentially high-growth area.
What's the outrageous risk part?
Well, the big risk is timing. Quantum commercialization might take much longer than people think, or Quanta might struggle to adapt its processes to the very specific high-precision needs of quantum hardware manufacturing. It's not guaranteed they'll execute flawlessly.
A bet on the quantum infrastructure supplier.
I like it. Plausible, definitely outrageous.
That's the goal. All right, so that's our deep dive into Rigetti Computing's latest call. Key themes seem to be solid progress on the tech front, especially chiplets, these crucial partnerships like Quanta and the UK initiatives, but financials that still reflect that heavy R&D investment phase.
Yeah, sums it up well. Lots of promising developments, but still early days for revenue generation. The Quanta deal, though, that feels like a potentially very important strategic alignment.
We hope this breakdown gave you some valuable insights. Remember, do your own homework before making any investment decisions. This is just our analysis of the call.
Absolutely. Thorough research is key.
So what do you think? Is this Quanta partnership a sign of things to come? Big hardware players getting deeply involved in building out the quantum ecosystem? Let us know your thoughts.
We'd love to hear them. And make sure to join us next time for another deep dive right here on Talk Tickers.